Hi, welcome to our channel. This is Koko and I'm Tel, and today we're going to be talking about toxic relationships. The reason why we decided to talk about this is because there's a lot of people out there who are struggling, in a situation like this with a toxic person, whether it be a spouse or a coworker, boss, some family member, in-laws. It could happen with anyone, in any place, in any community. Even a spiritual leader could be toxic. And so oftentimes when people are dealing with this, they're very confused and lost because they don't know exactly what's happening to them, because it's mostly like psychological abuse. And psychological abuse is very tricky because it's all, the person's playing games with your mind. And when somebody's playing games with your mind, whether it's gaslighting or, just whatever manipulation they're doing to you, it can be hard if you don't know what's happening to you. It can be really hard and confusing to know, why you're feeling the way you're feeling. And oftentimes people feel like they're turning crazy, or they just think something's wrong with them and they don't know what. But if you do know about psychological abuse, then it really helps to be aware and to pinpoint what exactly is going on with you and what that person, or actually to be able to pinpoint, oh, this person is toxic. So, yeah.
Can we take a couple steps back for people, because you said some hot words, right? Like psychological abuse and gaslighting, or even just toxic people. Because I think some people don't even understand what that means. Like, they just think, oh, that person's just mean or cranky, Yeah. And I'm just used to it. Like, oh yeah, they just always yell at me. I'm just used to it. I just ignore it, or whatever. But you don't realize that it's getting into your system, that it's affecting you, that you're making decisions based on how they make you feel, because then you're tiptoeing, right? Or you're walking on eggshells. You're dancing around them, which causes you to betray yourself, because then you don't say what you want, you don't do what you want, and you don't even realize that you're changing your behavior to cater to that person.
Right.
So I think some people don't even consider that psychological abuse.
True. That's true. Many people don't realize that. That's why it's very tricky, and it's one of the most insidious forms of abuse, because it's just, you can't see it. It's like subtle, and it happens slowly. So
that's key.
Slowly. The bruises are unseen. The bruises are within your heart, within your mind, but people can't see that. And oftentimes, but the manipulator will go to other people and try to get them on their side so that they can make that person, the victim, look crazy
unstable, or not trustworthy,
right,
or irrational.
Exactly. And that happens to many people when they're in a situation like this.
Right. So now that we've established, even situations that we don't consider psychological abuse could be, if someone's thinking, oh, maybe I am, maybe I'm not, could you give some examples about gaslighting? Because that's a term that gets thrown around, but I feel like it's very misunderstood sometimes.
Yeah.
Because, even me, I get confused if it's a gaslighting situation or not, because I feel like manipulators are very smart in their manipulation.
Yes.
Where you don't even know you're being gaslighted, because they will use whatever logic they can pull out.
Right.
And they're quick. They're very super quick, and they always have some sort of, but this makes sense with, A plus B equals C, therefore you're wrong. And make you question your reality, make you question what you feel is right. That part of you kind of becomes broken.
Yes.
Like your sense of direction and your sense of ownness of who you are.
Right.
So, go ahead, sorry. I'm talking too much.
No, you're not. you're saying a lot of good things. You don't have to stop, but I just totally agree. They're master manipulators.
Yeah. So then when it comes to gaslighting, it's just like, oh no, they're not gaslighting me. They're right.
Yes.
Like that person's going to think they're right because, yes. Because they've somehow slowed your logical process by affecting your brain because they're so quick and nowhere to attack, nowhere to get you to doubt yourself.
Yeah.
And that's key, right? Is once you begin to doubt, they just get right in there, sneak right in.
That's true.
And take advantage of that space of doubt within your mind. And that's what leads to the gaslighting?
Yes.
Is that true?
And plus it makes them feel powerful. That's how they get the power from you. And this, like I said, can happen in any situation. But the gaslighting is basically, it could be that this person criticizes you. I'm just giving an example now. And then all of a sudden, you're upset by that because they said something that, was disrespectful.
Yeah.
And then they twist their words and they say, oh, you took me the wrong way.
Right. You're being too sensitive.
I didn't say it like that.
Right.
They'll actually twist it.
Or they'll use a calm voice.
Yes. They'll use that. They all do that.
Use a calm voice while you seem erratic.
Right.
And then.
Yes. They do that.
It's very tactical.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, I'm not the one. Look who's upset here. Mm-hmm. Am I upset? No, I'm not upset. That's just one example. It could be their tone of voice, or they say something to you and they'll say, oh, I'm just joking.
Yeah.
That was just a joke. But in actuality, it's not. And that's the mind games. That's the manipulation to take control over you so that you lose yourself. And it's insidious because the victim ends up being very torn inside. Mm-hmm. These are scars that are like wounds that are forming, constant cuts within your soul, within, your mind, body, and soul.
Yeah. I want to cling to that word insidious because I feel like it's just a strong word and it says so much because it's almost snake-like.
Yes.
But I want to know what that word brings up for you when you say insidious, because to me it's like it's sneaky.
That's one of the words I was
but it's also dark.
Yes. Very dark. Very dark. Evil to me, because it's so hidden and so conniving. I could just come up with so many words for that.
Right.
And because you're literally on purpose trying to break this person down.
Right.
Okay. They do this because they get a high off of it, because they're wounded themselves and they haven't done anything to work on themselves. So this is the darkness that is created within in them because they haven't worked on themselves. So, so they end up, that's why we call them toxic. It's just they haven't done any work and they've leaned more towards the dark and, and decided, well, I need to take my misery out on other people. But they feel this high from this power that they see that, I got this person under my control now through manipulation.
So do you think it's way beyond like an ego trip?
It is a huge ego trip. It's a magnified ego trip. That's why they're called narcissists.
Right.
A lot of people use that term. But I mean, we can't definitely say narcissists because we can't diagnose them or whatever.
And there's a spectrum.
Yes, there's a spectrum. So all we could say is, in general, toxic, or negative person. But when I see these people, or hear about these people, those are the first things that come to my mind is the manipulation, the power, and they love to see a person down. That's their goal, is to bring you down. They don't care for anyone except themselves. And they could get Academy Award for Best Actor because they're very good at acting. I'm just giving an example of how good their acting is.
Right.
Because they can cry.
Yeah.
They can.
Yeah, the crying is so so you feel sorry for them.
Yes. And there you go, another manipulation.
As soon as you start showing strength or, you know, any type of like fight within you,
Right.
then it's, oh, poor me.
Yes.
Feel sorry for me. It's because my life is horrible and you don't feel sorry for me.
Yes.
Like that's one example.
The guilt trips.
Yeah, the guilt trips. Yeah.
And it all stems to manipulation. Whatever they have to do, or stonewalling, giving you, like, you get into an argument because they actually start the argument, but just because you're trying to use your voice and call them out on something, then they just stonewall you, just walk away, or, just
change the subject.
Yeah. Give the cold shoulder, silent treatment.
Yeah.
Because of they're not having control over you. They don't want you to use your voice.
Right. So then what happens, like, if someone finds themselves in the situation, whether it be like, with a significant other, or it could be anyone, right? Like you said, like it could be a sibling, it could be a boss, it could be a parent or an in-law or a friend. Like, what, if they've identified, like, okay, I think I'm in a situation, what's the first step to start to pull away and get your strength back?
The first step would be seeking help. They have to seek help, because whether it's through a friend who has wisdom, who knows about this, like about psychological abuse, because you really, in this situation, you really need somebody who has knowledge. Right. They need to gain knowledge for themselves. They need to read books.
Educate themselves.
Yes, they need to be educated about this. And I mean, preferably, I think the best way is going to a therapist who is trained in this, who has many years experience with this particular...
In hidden abuse particularly. Or
psychological, but psychological abuse is hidden abuse.
Sorry.
It's hidden abuse.
Yeah.
And because you can't see it. Psychological abuse, you cannot see. Mental abuse, that's just the thing.
Right.
It's the worst type of abuse that, therapists that I have seen have said that it's the worst type of abuse they've seen in their clients.
Yeah, I've heard that it alters the brain.
Yes, it does.
That's what I've...
Yeah,
it could happen to anyone. Anyone. Because it's so, like you said, insidious and slick. Like,
yeah.
I know you've come across like a psychotherapist who ended up in a relationship like that. And so have I. Like, I found just online, this person's like, oh, I am a psychotherapist who treat other people, and I ended up in a relationship like this, and they get stuck and they have a hard time getting out. And then they have to retrain their brains.
Yes.
To get themselves back.
And people feel a lot of shame. The psychotherapist felt a lot of shame because she was thinking to herself, I know about this, and how did I get myself into this? So she felt shame, even though she shouldn't feel shame.
Right.
That just shows how manipulative people can be. Yeah. Okay.
They know exactly what wound to pick.
Yes.
Because we're all wounded.
They get to know you and find your weaknesses. Yeah. And they play on that.
Right.
And so that's what's very scary.
Yeah.
And I mean, you really have to know. If you're back to what you were saying, like, okay, so a person, when they find out the situation they're in, they should, first try to seek help, preferably going to a therapist who has knowledge and experience that you feel comfortable with, that can help you feel safe. And it's a therapist, that you feel comfortable with, and that can hold space for you, that you feel safe and comfortable, because that's what's most important. Every time, when looking for a therapist, if people don't know, if they've never been to therapy, they have to know that you have to find somebody. If that therapist doesn't work for you, you can always change a therapist that you feel comfortable with, because that's most important. This is your healing journey. Right. And it's very hard to heal if you're not connecting. That's the word I want to use. Connecting with your therapist or whichever person you're working with for your healing journey. Yeah. But
so if they find a therapist that they feel like they're vibing with, they're gelling with. But I mean, like, they can't tell the person, or can they? The person that they're having problems with, like.
Oh, so the victim can't tell the abuser.
Right. Like, how does that work?
Oh,
because sometimes they will feel afraid for themselves because that could cause friction or.
You can't tell the abuser. Definitely, you can't. Even a therapist, good therapist will tell you that. Not to tell, because then if they do decide that, like they'll say, because sometimes what victims will do, they'll say they want their partner to go with them. Like
that's what I was about to say.
If it's in a marriage, then, or family member, obviously with a coworker, you can't do that. But like in this type of situation, whether it's a family member or a spouse, they'll want to go for counseling. But the only one who really wants to fix things is the victim. But the person who, the toxic person, will just find a way to prove that they are not.
That nothing's wrong with them.
Yes.
That you're the one that needs help.
Right.
Or that the therapist is being biased and only taking.
Yes.
Not counting their side.
Yeah. So it's not worth telling them because they don't want help. They don't think anything's wrong with them. That's why you are the scapegoat. You are the one who's at fault at all times.
Right.
And it's because of that big ego. When a person has an inflated ego, they don't want to work on themselves. They're not there to compromise. They don't have empathy. That's a huge one too. They don't have mercy in their heart for another person. That's why it's easy for them to see you broken.
Right. So then what's the ultimate goal for the victim? Is it
the ultimate
to get away from this person?
Yes. The ultimate goal is for this person to get out. Now, if it takes you some time, that's why the first step is getting help, seeking support. You need support. Even if you're alone, people who are alone, they are able to get out, even if they don't have family support and they don't have, but if you have family that wants to support you, turn to your family, turn to your friends. If you have friends who want to support you, let your friends help you and don't feel ashamed, because everyone does feel ashamed when they go through the situation. They feel dumb or they feel humiliated. And that's because the abuser has made you feel that way. It's not that you're dumb or, you're an idiot. It's not that. It's just that you have been taken advantage of your vulnerabilities, and these people just like to have power over you. This is what they live for. This is the only thing that makes them feel good.
Right.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, you have just, like, the victim will just have completely lost their sense of self.
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
And
Sense of self.
Figure out, who am I again? Because that person has stripped you down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They stripped you from your dignity. You lose your sense of self, and you don't have the will to do things. You end up sometimes being in this place. Oftentimes people that are in this situation, they feel like they just kind of go into this dark mode where, I just give up. Whatever happens, just happens. I don't care. I can't fight. It's like, you go into the boxing ring, but the bell's going off, but you're just not going. You don't have the will to go in. To put up that fight for yourself.
Apathetic.
Yes.
Like you just don't care.
Right.
Anymore.
And
that's like a huge sign that you're betraying yourself.
Right.
And you're betraying your own soul.
Right. And that comes from, not being able to fight for yourself. That comes with the symptoms of, with mental abuse comes symptoms.
Yeah, beaten down.
Where you have PTSD. You could have chronic PTSD depending on how long you've been in the situation. If it's many, many years, the more damage on you. But it can be reversible. But I'm just saying that the longer you're in it, the more damage it is to your mind, body, and soul.
And that's what's tricky, because some people are born into situations like this, where they're raised by toxic people.
Right.
Or they have like a toxic sibling or whoever, you know, just it could be a primary caretaker or just a constant in their lives. And so they don't know any other way. This is all they know, and they think this is normal.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah,
but it's not.
No, it's not. And the reason why, you know, some people, they think, oh, abuse is just physical, or
a lot of people still think that way.
Yeah.
They don't understand.
And I was thinking that more people, because, you know, on social media and every platform, you see a lot of people talking about narcissistic abuse and, you know, psychological abuse or, you know, trauma. And for me seeing that, I was assuming that a lot of people are aware of this more now.
Right.
You know, not back then because it was never talked about. But there still are many people out there who don't think that, you know, mental abuse, when it's happening to them, they think
when it's happening to them, I think it just doesn't
think,
register.
Yeah.
It's
because it's so confusing.
Yeah. It's like,
especially when somebody makes you feel like everything's your fault.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, not to be cheesy, but like when I watched Maid, like that made me like, she doesn't see what she's in, but she was saying all the typical things that a mentally abused person says.
She was. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But it is abuse, you know, it is abuse. And it's something not to put up with. You know, you have to honor yourself and fight for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, because this person is only here to destroy you.
Right. I think another tricky thing is sometimes when you're in this situation, you tend to surround yourself with other people who are in the exact same situation because you feel understood. But then you just end up being in victim mode together. Exactly. And it's like, and then you actually
enable each other.
You enable each other because you think complaining about that other person is enough. Oh, that's good enough. I felt better for like a day or whatever. But it doesn't actually do anything to change your situation.
Exactly.
You just end up more stuck because then, like you said, you're just enabling each other. Yeah. It's like you got to get yourself outside of that comfort zone and really have the strength to challenge yourself, to find the strength within you that you didn't even know you had. Yeah,
that's right. Venting does not help. It helps somewhat, but only if
it's a release.
It's a release, but you cannot just resort to venting thinking that this is my way, I'm going to cope. I can't get out, so I'll just, vent. Some people are like that, not everybody, but some people are. And then there's others who would just accept it and just take it. But then their soul is just like hurting. Like you just see them. You see everything on them.
Right.
After, if they're in it for so long, you see it on their face.
They're heavy. And in their health. I feel like that's
the health too, physical. It affects you physically.
Yeah.
Because you're in a toxic situation. So it's just you're feeding your body poison. And so a lot of people will have health issues, whether it be with their stomach or, you're
just getting sick. Yeah. Your nervous system is constantly shot.
It's shot.
It's like there's no time to recover.
Exactly.
Because as soon as you start to feel better or recover a little bit, that person will shut you down again.
You're in constant fight or flight mode.
Right. Why don't you talk about that? Like the different modes you could get into. The fight, flight, freeze.
Yes. So
I forgot what the other one was.
Fawn, which is to appease, to make peace. So, with freezing, a person, will just mentally break down and just shut down. They won't be able to speak or, it's just like a deer in headlights.
Yeah. It's usually when the abuser comes on strong.
Yes.
And they feel threatened in some way.
And they just
nothing. Frozen in fear.
Yeah, they can't say anything. They just shut down. They just want to hide or whatever because everybody's different how they act in freeze mode. And then fight mode, that one's pretty obvious how fight mode is. Oftentimes the victims won't be like that in fight mode with the abuser. Right. In this situation, they tend to not do that. If they do, I mean, sometimes they can explode or
Yeah, sometimes it's
rage.
it's passive aggressive.
Yes, passive aggressive, or it turns into rage, but they won't rage in front of the abuser. They will take that out on people outside or by themselves at home, where it could be that they're just like throwing things and they're just exploding by themselves.
Right. Yeah, and sometimes it's even self-harm.
Yes, self-harm, cutting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because you have all that pent-up anger and frustration that you're not able to take it out on the person who's doing that to you, because it's not normal to be in a situation where you can't let your anger out, like to discuss it with your partner or whoever it may be. So this person angered you and then you try to talk about it and this person just shuts you down. So it's like you end up being forced to suppress it.
Yeah.
And that's not normal. You cannot, it's not healthy. In relationships, any type, we have to be able to be clear, to have clear communication and be able, if something is bothering us, we should be able to talk about it with the other person, not hide it.
Yeah.
Because ideally.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There has to be clear communication. And obviously, if you're going to have a disagreement, it's okay to have disagreements. That is normal, but it's how you discuss it. How do you deal with it?
Right.
So oftentimes when a person has PTSD, they end up having that fight mode because they're not regulated. Their emotions are not regulated.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the fight mode comes at the weirdest times.
Right. And either they're on the road and they're having road rage, okay, because they're taking it out on wherever they can release, which is not healthy.
Yeah.
You do have to release, but in a proper way.
Right.
So then you have fawn, which is appeasing, just saying, I'm sorry because you're so desperate for the peace, being a people pleaser. Okay. So some people will just end up, even though it's not their fault, they'll say sorry to the abuser and just try to do anything to make the peace.
Just to make that person shut up.
Yes. Right. And then the other one is, oh my gosh, I forgot. Fight, appease.
Run, flight.
Oh, yes. That's just like avoiding, you're avoiding this, just trying to run away. You run away from your problems, So just not facing it. Like people can be nervous of confrontation. And confrontation doesn't have to be aggressive, just a normal confrontation to talk about things, But when you have PTSD, you're just like, oh my God, all these stories come in your mind. And then you just run away from a situation, run away from communication, avoid any type of confrontation.
Right. Which is really not good for you because then there's no part of yourself that is sticking up for yourself. Right. You're betraying your soul constantly. Every time you don't say anything. Yeah. You're betraying yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And then so back to healthy forms of release.
Oh, yeah.
Because, keeping that all in here, it affects not only your mental health, but your physical health because your nervous system's shot. So if you don't have a therapist that you can go to or a friend that you can confide in, or sometimes that's just not enough. Sometimes you just need to find more physical forms of release. Yeah. If that makes any sense. I know that you and I are like fans of hitting pillows or screaming into pillows.
Yes.
But like, what else? Because for other people, it could be anything. It could be listening to music because it helps regulate your nervous system, or it helps you feel understood.
Yes.
Certain songs or certain lyrics or just the vibration of the tune, or it could be watching a movie that you could relate to, like we watched Maid. Like it's like, oh, I can relate to this person. Like what other forms of healthy release are there? Because I feel like healthy, where you're not destructive to yourself or anyone else is the key.
Finding books, about what you're going through, on different healing modalities, but just looking even on YouTube, on social media, there's so many tips, But
So
if you have to do it on your own, there's, different things that you could look up, resources to do for yourself. If you have the will, because you do need to have that will to rescue yourself.
Right.
You have to be able to want to rescue yourself and want to heal and want to have better for yourself. And if you want that, you will be able to get yourself out of that situation, and you can heal from that situation if that's what you really want.
Right.
That you want good for yourself. And, there's many books out there, and one of them I have here is Healing from Hidden Abuse. And this is from a therapist, Shannon Thomas. I read this whole book, and it is amazing. It just has everything in there, easy read, easy to understand. She's very straightforward with everything, clear in her message.
Nice.
And talks about all the different forms of what could happen if you're in an in-law situation, what happens in a spousal situation, just all the different types. And she explains the different spectrums. And, just this is like the start of guidance of what to do to help yourself.
Yeah.
And it's just complete. This is why I really, it's a very good place to start. So I would recommend to anybody who's, going through a situation like this to get that book. You can purchase it on Amazon. I think it's only about, I can't remember if it was $12 or $14, but it doesn't cost that much.
Yeah.
But you can purchase it on Amazon. So.
Right.
And I think we should could put a link.
Yeah, we could put a link
in the description.
To it in the description.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Any other ideas for healthy release?
And also exercising.
Oh, yeah.
But sometimes it depends. So everyone's different. Some people don't have the motivation to be exercising depending where they're at. Because if you're still in that situation, it's very hard to have any motivation to do things. So exercise could be simple, just walking outside for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Where there's nature, like trees, just to soothe your nervous system. Or doing stretching like yoga, 10 minutes of that, easy.
Right. Get that tension out of your muscle.
Or the Qigong. Qigong's really good with moving your energy. Just all of that soothes your nervous system. And, if being in your backyard, if you have dirt.
Tell her, hug a tree.
Yeah, hug a tree or step on the dirt for a few minutes, be in the sun. There's so many things. If you can afford to get a massage, get a massage. That's very soothing to your nervous system. I could name a whole bunch of things, acupuncture, cupping, what else? There's just so many things. Taking a hot bath or shower, whatever it may be. This is all things to soothe yourself because your nervous system is shot and you're trying to calm yourself. You're trying to regulate yourself, regulate your physical body and regulate your emotions. And that does take time. But in the meantime, you could take these small baby steps to nurture yourself.
I feel like we could mention diet because I know that
diet is too. Yes,
it's like definitely. When you're in an ideal situation, we turn to comfort food, right? But then our body becomes addicted to sugar, addicted to certain oils or chemicals, which are not helping you.
Yes.
But I know it's hard to get yourself out of that.
You have to take it slow. Yeah. Because for many years, I was addicted to just eating junk, just sweet stuff. And not just sweets, but I liked fatty foods, fried foods and all that. And, the food was always my comfort, but it was in the wrong way, eating the wrong foods that were not nourishing my body. And it does take time. And the only reason why I was forced was because of my stomach issues. But you do feel a difference when you change your diet. And you start eating wholesome foods because
it makes you feel stronger.
The food has a vibration. Yeah. And so, fruits and vegetables, are high in vibration, which, it's nourishing your body. It's not processed. It's not, chemical.
The other stuff, it keeps you down. whether you know it or not.
It does. It may taste good, but
it doesn't last. Like it's like a high that you temporarily have.
Even like how they say, if you have anxiety, you should stay away from sugar because sugar makes your anxiety worse. And what else? Caffeine.
Yeah.
You know, before I used to drink so much caffeine.
Just a small sip.
But, you know, I used to drink caffeine so much back then because being on, you know, like survival mode, you know, everybody gets on survival mode and they'll find whatever. You don't have to be in a abusive situation or whatever, but just, you know, being in survival mode.
Yeah.
You know, you will do whatever you have to do to get through the day to push through. But it's not good, you know, because your body's not being regulated. It's not natural.
Right.
It's not natural for you. Yeah.
So, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fine.
Oh, what would you say to someone? And this could be like, you know, in closing or not, if you feel like you have more to say. But what would you say to someone who is afraid to leave the relationship because they feel like they don't have the skills or the courage or the whatever to make it out there on their own away from this person? Because sometimes the abuser will brainwash you into thinking you can't live without them or that you will fail if you try to live out there on your own, whether it's because you have children or even just if you don't have children, just on your own. They somehow make you believe that you're going to fail.
Right.
And there's no way you will be able to sustain your life if it's not for them because they've taken your power. What would you say to someone who might feel that way?
It's really hard because there's been people, you know, I've ran into many people that have been in this situation and they don't have that will. And it's very hard to tell them that, tell them
that they'll be fine.
That they'll be fine because they don't believe it. Let me use a better word. It's hard for them to receive. They're not ready to receive.
Because they don't believe in themselves?
Right.
Okay.
Because they don't believe in themselves. Also because there's too much fear. The fear, you know, fear paralyzes you.
Very true.
When this person has done this to you for so many years, let's say 20 years, and you're thinking, you're already brainwashed. Your mind, your brain is it's functioning in a different way. So that person has been brainwashed to think, I cannot make it on my own, even if they have family sometimes. Yeah. Okay. Because there are people who do have family that I know of. Random people outside that I know that have family, but they're caught up by the threat of the abuser, you know, that they will be homeless. They can't make it out there. It's just absolutely, they can't do it. So they give up. And so, but if I was able to say something, you know, to somebody who was able to receive, I would tell them that you can do it. Don't be afraid. Do not be afraid. For my Muslim audience, I would say if it was a Muslim sister that, you know, Allah takes care of us and Allah won't let you down. You put your faith and trust in Allah and He will never let you down. You will receive help from places that you never expected. And, you know, just in general and to others who are not Muslim, but I just had to say that because I know I have a Muslim audience. Of course. But
thank you.
That really, don't doubt. Don't be afraid. That's the biggest thing. Because miracles happen if we trust the process, you know, that if you have that intention that I want to do better for myself, it will go through if you really want that. If that's what you want, you don't want to be in a situation like this, you want to honor yourself, you don't want to betray yourself anymore, you will be able to be in a better situation and you will be able to heal. But the only thing is that you have to want that to happen. If others want that for you, it won't help because you have to want it for yourself.
Right.
Because like if you have the support, there's people who can support you and be like, no, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. But that person has to believe it.
Yeah, they do. They do. And they can't also, I don't want to use, it sounds generic to say pass the responsibility, but like if someone else is telling them, oh, you can do this and you can do that, and they're kind of just relying on that other person to do all the work for them. It's like, no, you have to save yourself.
Exactly. Nobody can save you.
Yeah, nobody can except yourself. It's great to have that support, yes, as like stepping stones and all this and all that, but it's got to be you.
Yeah, and you have to believe it because that's the thing that holds people back is they believe that there is no way out for them. Right. That's what makes them stuck. But then it's just like life is too short and, are you going to live the rest of your life like that, you know? And especially if there's kids, it's the worst thing to have kids in this situation. The worst, because they are affected so... I mean, it affects them. I don't even know what word to use. It's just in a very negative way, you know.
It takes time to undo all of that work that's been done on them because...
Especially they grow up in it.
Yeah, they grow up in it and they don't know how to unravel the confusion and the darkness that they've been exposed to because they think it's normal. Yeah. And they all their actions are based on wounds. Exactly. And it's hard to make them aware of it.
Yeah. And they go on, if they've been in it throughout their whole life and they're grown up, they end up following repeating the cycle.
Right.
You know, they end up
unconsciously.
Exactly. Yeah. They end up finding themselves in toxic relationships, whether it's with friends or, intimate relationships, or having a husband or wife, whatever it may be, that ends up being a toxic relationship.
Right.
So that's why I just really, it's the will. There, anything is possible. And I have to say that anything's possible with God.
It is.
You
have to remember you have choices.
Yes.
Because you will feel like you have no choice because that's what's been pounded into your head.
There's always options. Always options. And that's what people that come to me, if they have that type of problem and if they're able to receive, I do tell them, you have options.
Yeah.
There's options. But you just cannot give up. Once you give up, that's it, Yeah. And everything happens for a good reason, really. That's another thing that people have to remember, and not to be that, oh, my life is just meant to be like this, or, I'm meant to suffer, or it's hopeless, to just go to that negativity.
Yeah.
Because our mind is so powerful that we attract those things. If it's really negative, we believe that, then that's what we are creating for ourselves.
Right.
But if we change our perception, then, to the other side and know that, no.
There's hope.
Yeah, there is hope. And I do have options. There's always an option.
Yeah. Then things start to get brighter. You start to see little slivers of hope here and there. And then until that just starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, do you have anything else to add?
I think that's it. I think we're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in and watching this podcast.
Thank you.
All right. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.